back to the Dead Money with Dan Arfin podcast. I got a lot of stories to tell this week. I'm not even going to have time to get to all of them because first we're just going to talk about the Bellagio. The Bellagio has finally made some sort of attempt at getting with the times of modern day poker. They have recently just raised their 2-5 buy-in cap to $1,000. The buy-in range had been between 2 and 500 forever and ever and ever, and now it's 200 to 1,000. And I believe their 1-3 is up to 500 as well. Holy shit, finally! I was in the game for a couple hours in the morning because I had to go settle some court business over this stupid ticket I got a few months ago, but I got the resolution I was looking for, so I felt inspired. I checked the Bravo, and it was, probably like 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that a game at the Bellagio was going. So I won in a couple hours, and I just went in expecting for a 500 cap still, but when I sit down, the dealer tells us that the cap is now 1,000, and I could not believe it. Now, not too much happened while I was there as far as hand histories go, but there was this one kid in the game, probably like a late 20s guy, like this Asian guy who I've seen coming out of town a few times. He's a reg, has kind of a high-pitched voice. And he asked this question to the table. He asked, would you rather have like a family and a big, beautiful house and a great wife and the perfect family and just all this joy and abundance? Or would you rather be shot in the chest 57 times? I'm not kidding. This is the question he asked. And we're all just kind of sitting there in silence until one guy answers him, this European guy. He's like, I would rather have the family. And he says back to the kid, he's like, well, wouldn't you? And he's like, we know he's not a kid. But he asked the guy asking this normal question, he's like, wouldn't you? He's like, I don't know. And it's like he's saying this with a straight face. And we know that like he's like joking, but like he's trying to act like he's not joking, even though why would he not be joking? I mean, I didn't feel like giving him any satisfaction for when he asked this. So I just said to him, I was like, is there anything else on your mind? Then it occurred to me a little while later, and this would have been a funny answer to give, and I think I would have given it if I thought of it in the moment, even though I said I didn't want to give him any satisfaction by answering such a bizarre, I don't even know what else to call it, question. But I might have said to him in this manner, I would rather have the family because if I have to get shot in the chest, I'm not doing it for less than 100 bullets. So 57, get the fuck out of here with that nonsense. I mean, I know people have a weird sense of humor. I certainly do at times. This one I just didn't get. Like, what was he going for here? I mean, I don't know what type of Asian he is, but that was some new type of Harry Carey shit. Anyway, so I come back a night later to go play this 1K cap again because I'm expecting this to be a really good game. And I come in at night, and I check in with the floor man up front. I'm the first name at the top. I called in, said Dan A. They had me as Dan F. I don't know how the person I spoke to confused A with F, but they did. I told him, I was like, oh, I'm supposed to say Dan A. I called in. He's like, well, you're Dan F today. I didn't argue. I went and go get my chips, and now I'm just sitting at an empty table, and I'm not super close to the podium, but I'm not that far. And this all happened pretty fast, because this was probably like within 5 minutes of checking in at the desk. The guy calls my name, says Dan F for 2-5. I'm waving my hand. I'm waving to him like I'm waving hello. I got my hand high above my head. He sees me, like nods his head, and then I just get up for a minute and I come up to him and I say, all right, like 2-5. He's like, I thought you weren't taking it. I was like, I waved to you. He's like, I thought that meant like you were saying no. I was like, no. He's like, like thumbs up. He shows me like thumbs up means yes. He's like, if you wave, that means no. I mean, holy fucking shit. This is unfucking real. I mean, if you go to the Bellagio, people have always been complaining about the Bellagio for years. And I loved the high limit section. When I played 1020 there, I loved being upstairs. The floor staff was totally different from the rest of the room. Bellagio was really awesome. But when you're playing in the other games in the rest of the room, I wasn't as in love with it. And this is just a typical example of what kinds of things that seems to just always go on in this place. You have the most incompetent, nonsensical fools running this room. I mean, how do you not double check if I'm actually not taking the game or not? Is there any downside to that? If you double check and I'm not taking the seat, then okay, you haven't fucked up anything, you haven't lost anything. But if you double check and I do take the seat, well, guess what? Now you just didn't give my seat away. So there's quite a bit of value into that. Not to fucking mention, how do these floor men not know the pro poker players when they see them? I mean, this is kind of the least of the whole thing, but it's like the professional players, pro poker players, they walk a certain way, they act a certain way. It's just like, dude, I just walked into the fucking room and 1, 2, 3. You think I'm just turning down the seat? You don't even want to check? So yeah, he puts me back at the top of the list, but now I have to fucking wait again. I mean, the session hasn't even fucking started yet. So I just look at him, I roll my eyes, I'm just look at him like, you're a fucking moron. I walk away. And then at some point I'm just walking around the room and then I come across him again. I was like, you should double check. It's like, hello, Jesus. You don't just fucking give someone's seat away. I mean, I'm waving hello to you. Is it so fucking difficult to just say, wait, is that a no? Holy shit. I didn't do the little hand motion by your neck where you're like, no, I don't want to do it. We're cutting it off. I didn't give him that. I waved to him. It was like embracing the fucking name call. Holy shit. I'm just getting so pissed off just thinking about this again. God. Idiot. So lucky for him, then the seat does reopen a couple of minutes later, and as I'm walking to the table, he sees me again, and he apologizes. He acknowledged, and I smiled, and I said it's okay, forgave him for it, but it's just like, dude, how can you be that fucking stupid? So now to get to come aboard this roller coaster, because holy shit, this game was just nuts. So folds to my button, I raise with king 8 offsuit, big blind makes a big 3-bet, I fold, and he shows ace king, and he says, just so you know, I'm not being a dick. I love when people say this. They act like it's wrong of them to bluff you or something. And I said to him, even if you were being a dick, you're not being a dick. So playing poker is it's encouraged here. So then a couple of minutes later, the action gets to this guy in seat 8. So he's to the right of the dealer. There are 2 players still left to act in front of him, and he raises or he went all in. I don't know what he did. And most people see a thing like this and they just kind of shrug their shoulders and don't think it's that big of a deal. But it's just these people are right in front of you. He said, oh, I didn't see their cards. The cards are right fucking in front of him. It's like, God, do you need new glasses? I mean, this man, we know he's a rec player and he's probably in his 50s or 60s, but it's just I don't understand this. I don't understand how these things happen. It's I know people don't play poker every day and, but is it just that unfamiliar of an experience to them? Is the environment to them just that foreign to them that they just completely short circuit and have no fucking clue what's going on? I mean, the Bellagio tables are very, very narrow. There's no way you can miss this. And it's not even just the tainting of the hand that I'm getting pissed off about. It's just how utterly oblivious can you be? So on to the first couple of hand histories from this game. I think there was a shadow on, maybe a limp and a race at 20 and a call, and I just bombed 3-bet with ace-deuce suited in the small blinds at 160 and nobody called. And next hand I played, there's an early position raise to 15. I 3-bet with queen 10 suited to 50. I get 1 cold call plus the original razor calls. And the flop comes jack 9-4, rainbow, and I have a backdoor flush draw. So we're 3 ways in there. I'm sandwiched between the 2 guys. Flop is jack 9-4, rainbow. I got queen 10 of spades with a backdoor flush. First guy checks. I like to check here a lot when I have a cold caller behind me whenever I 3-bet, but I did bet 80 this time, and they both called. Turn card is no help whatsoever. It's a 6 of hearts, 2 hearts now. First guy checks again. I was thinking about betting, flashed a glance at the guy who was in position to try to get a little live read. He seemed, I don't know, a little excited or a little something. I just felt I should check. And then he bets 255. Next guy folds. The guy bets 255 and he only has $200 left. And I just could not understand why he didn't jam. I mean, his jam would only be a slight overbet. It would be 450, 460, maybe 470 into 390. I mean, betting 255 and leaving yourself with 200 left, it just doesn't make sense to do this. So pot odds wise, as far as my open ender, I mean, I am not getting the right price, even though I know I'm going to stack him on probably every river. If I hit the 8 or the king with only $200 left, he's probably just going to call off on a shove, but I'm still not getting the right price with that. And I was about to fold, but then I realized, well, I actually could win with a queen. But I don't know if my queen is going to give me the best hand. I mean, I expect him to stack off with it, but like he could have queen jack. He could have a set. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why he's only betting 255. I mean, it was very close to the line, and I just folded. Next orbit, there's a limp, and that Asian lady who I 3-bet with ace-deuce suited, she raises to 15, so I know this is a weak-ass hand, and the cutoff calls, and I 3-bet the button to 75 with jack-10 offsuit, and only she calls, and we're heads up, and I'm already getting a bad feeling about this, because I'm starting to feel like this woman who's deep just has the look of somebody who is not going to want to fold to me a second time, that if I just keep barreling, she's just not going to want to believe me this time. And I don't get a good flop. It's queen 5-4. Could be worse. She check calls 70. Turn is another queen, and she checks again. I mean, I know that this is a good card to check back if I do have a real hand. And look, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I could barrel off. But I check back. The river is an 8. She checks. I just fucking give up. And she has pocket 3s. So, look, there are some runouts I can win on. And you wonder if she's going to even bluff the rivers where her little pocket 3s gets counterfeited, because a 5 or a 4 would have done that. So, I could have bluffed an ace on the river or a king. Jack or 10 is going to give me the best hand. I'm going to bet that hand. So I don't know what would have happened here. I mean, I think that barreling is fine if I hadn't had this other thing happen before where I already 3-bet her. I mean, I may have just overthought the situation and gotten in my head about it, but I also just had a feeling that this could be one of these hero call situations coming up. So, next hand, the straddle is on again. Under the gun raises to 25. I say, let's try it again. I 3-bet to 75 with ace-3 of diamonds. And then the guy who I'd folded the queen 10 to, he called 4-bets all in for like 450. And of course, we all fold. The next hand, I have king queen off. So now I'm going to 3-bet a third hand in a row if there's a raise, which there is. The lady, the Asian lady who I just gave up with against jack 10 off, and I think the straddle was on again, and she raises to 20, and I said, let's try it again. And I 3-bet to 60, and then the guy who had just acted out of turn just a few minutes ago when he raises with 2 players in front of him left with cards, he does it again. He does it again. He goes all in. He was very short at this point. He only had $85 total. So for the second time in like 20 or 30 fucking minutes, this guy acts out of turn with not only 1 player left to act in front of him, but 2. I mean, these people, they act like little fucking kids. They have no patience. They don't pay attention. They just see a hand. They're like, oh, is it my turn? Is it my turn? Is it my turn? Holy shit. And now he has fucked up the action because one of the 2 guys left to act before him couldn't make up their mind. Because now he knows this guy's going all in, doesn't know what to do now. So those 2 guys end up folding. His all into 85 stance. The big blind, who was this fish, he calls. And now the woman who had made it 20 and, I made it 60, and then there's an all into 85. She's trying to find out if she can raise again, which she can. She has all her options. But her English is not that great. The dealer's English was not that great. And she could not articulate the question, and the dealer could not answer the question. And I could tell that this was not going to get any better. So within 10 seconds, I just said to her, I'm like, you have all your options. Because we're going to get to this conclusion at some point, and I don't want it to take till fucking Christmas to do it. So as expected, even though she can raise, she doesn't. And then it was made clear that like she can raise, but I can. And of course I can't, since the all-in raise was too small. So we have a 4-way pot now, 1 all in, 340 in the main pot, 0 in the side. I got king queen off, and the flop comes king 5-5, 2 diamonds, and we know by now my image is kind of aggressive at this point. And then the big blind open shoves, and I had about 850, and he had me, I think, slightly covered. Now the woman folds, and I got king queen off, king 5-5, 2 diamonds. I don't have a diamond, which is good. Better off without a diamond than with one in this case. And it's just like, what the fuck? I mean, I feel like at times like this in the past, I've always folded and I'm just always wrong. And I told myself, don't fucking make this mistake again, because I think you might be heading in that direction. But this is still a really tough spot. I mean, we know it's not going to be aces. This guy is not going to have a 5. Could he have ace king? I mean, it's not unthinkable, but this guy is a fish. And he is going to be turning over a stupid hand. We know he's a fish just based on the fact that he played the hand this way. And I just started thinking, I feel like this guy just has a weak king, king jack, king 10, and he just doesn't want to play the hand. Just stick it all in there. Just dump it in there now, and let's just hope for the best. That's what I was thinking. So I'm thinking, and I'm trying to make up my mind, and I flash him a live read glance as well to see if there was any sort of look on his face that suggested, like, wait, what is this guy thinking about? And that's exactly what I got. I looked at him for a moment, and he just had like this kind of like, what look on his face? It was very subtle. I was leaning towards call anyway. This pushed it over the top. So I call. I'm holding my breath here, just hoping to see either a weaker king or a nut flush draw. Turn is an ace. Perfect. The river is a queen, so I have kings and queens, but lose to an ace. The diamond came as well. 3 diamonds on the river. And he has the king, jack of clubs. Win the big side pot. The guy who went all in, who acted out of turn for the second time with 2 players in front of him, he had ace-10 off, so he was out flop, turned the best hand, so he quadrupled up, winning the 340 main pot as I win this much bigger side pot. And then this guy wasn't saying it to me directly, but he became very, very critical of me calling with king-queen. He is calling $85 pre-flop with king jack of clubs. He gets a 4-way situation. He gets this flop. He open shoves more than 2 times the pot. And now he's criticizing my play for calling with king queen in this situation. I didn't ask him, but it's like, we're all thinking here. It's like, what were you, bluffing? Were you trying to just get everyone to fold a stronger king than you? Is that what you thought was going to happen? I mean, we know the guy is frustrated, but it's just like unfucking believable how bad these people play, and then they don't think any of it's their fault. He thinks everything he did there was perfectly correct, and I'm supposed to just fold that hand. The next hand to come up, there's a new player sits down. He raises, I think, from under the gun 1. We might have been 7-handed. The small blind called. I mean, this is a soft game. I got king jack off in the big blind, and I don't really want to call this because this hand, closing the action, yeah, but like it's not as good as it looks. It's going to be hard to realize the equity. It's just not a great situation, but the players are just bad, so I felt like I should just peel. Glad I did peel because I only flopped the nuts. Queen 10-9, rainbow. And then the small blind donks 40. And I raise to 130, and he 3-bets to 440, and he's only got about 400 or 500 left. So of course I go all in. He calls. Board immediately pairs on the turn. It's a 9. The river's an 8. I show my hand, and he looks back at his hand, looks at the board, looks back at his hand about 3 or 4 times, and then finally he mucks his cards. Now this is when another problem came up because the dealer did not kill the player's hand. She just left them sitting out there over the line, but next to the pot, next to the muck. And look, I don't think anything is going to go wrong here, but it's just she's not doing this correctly. That hand is not dead until she mucks it. And I said to her, I was like, can you kill that hand? She looks at me, she's like, what? I'm like, his hand is not dead yet. Just take his cards and kill it and put it in the muck. And now she snaps at me. She's like, I'm counting the money first. I'm like, that hand is not dead yet. Can you kill his hand? So you know what she does? She just takes his cards and just like moves it to a different part of the table. Still hasn't killed his hand. And then I just allowed her to finish counting up the money. I had him covered, so he stacks off. I get all the money. And I gave her $1. And that's because I was being nice to her. Okay? And this is not even the first problem I had with this dealer this week. She deals at the Bellagio and at the Wynn. Earlier that week at the Wynn, we get into a 5-handed situation, so I ask for a rake reduction. They bring the floor over. They give us the rake reduction. And then I'm getting into a 3-bet pot with another player where he bets the flop. I call, and then he thinks for a while on the check. And then I think for a little while, and I check. And now we have to prompt her, who's spacing out in the middle of his hand, to deal the river card. And it really fucking pisses me off when we have to do this because, look, if there's any minor chance that I'm giving away some sort of any bit of tell by saying to the dealer, hey, we went check, can you deal now? I mean, it's just, that's not good. So we get to the river. I ended up winning this pot. I made a crazy bluff river shove, but that's not important right now. And then I look on the rake slide, and I'm sitting in the 8 seat, so I'm to her right. And there's $5 on the rake instead of 3. And I start telling her before she even drops it, I said, hey, you're raking too much. Boom! Takes the rake. I said, I told you you're raking too much. I said, you gave us a rake reduction. So she gives us the rake reduction, then takes too much rake, and has to be prompted in the middle of the hand. And now later in the week, the hand is over, I stack the guy, he mucks his cards, she won't even kill his hand. And this is the way the job is supposed to be done. You're supposed to kill his hand. What am I, reaching for the fucking stars here? I'm not asking you to build me the house. Just every time I look up, I'm doing this woman's job again. At different casinos. And it's just really fucking pissing me off. And this woman just scowled and just had a bad attitude the rest of the down. I'm never giving another dollar to this woman. Alright? I've been going on and on all year and all last year about these fucking dealers, and I just can't take them anymore. None of them want to do their job. They all give you an attitude, and they all expect you to line their pockets. Because do you think she thanked me for that dollar? Huh. Next hand to come up, we have a new player, raises under the gun to 20, and the next action, 3-bets to 60. And it folds over to me, and I got ace-king suited. And I have folded ace-king off in this configuration before, where the 3-better came from under the gun 1, which is obviously the earliest spot you can 3-bet with, 3-bet from. And, I'm suited though, so I can't fold. So, fuck it. I threw in a cold 4-bet to 200, and they both folded. And I could not believe it. I could not believe I cold 4-bet a hand that wasn't aces or kings and got everyone to fold. That, never happens. Ever. I was expecting to get called by the 3-better and, probably to get a 7-8-3 no spades flop and then just deal with this as best as I can. So I just felt like, hey, this must be my night. So then we get into another situation where it wasn't involving me. In fact, our friend with King Jack of clubs who stacked off to me and criticized me for calling off with King Queen, he comes back, but he had changed seats. There was, I think he had straddled, and the big blind raised to 50, and he jams 250, and he gets called, and before they deal the run out, he just turns over the queen of diamonds. That's the only card he shows. And then the opponent says to him, and I guess these guys know each other. He's just like, ace queen? And flop and turn, I don't remember. The board had paired, I know that, and the river was a queen. And then the guy who went all in turns over his other card, which is another queen. So he slow rolls the fuck out of this guy. But like I said, they seem friendly. The other guy wasn't upset. But then he's like, you made it sound like you had ace queen. But then he's like, then this guy says, the guy who slow rolled the queens, he's like, why? He's like, you think I would go with ace queen there? As if that's a really stupid hand to 3-bet shove with in that spot. He's like, yeah, ace queen is the nuts there. As the guy says to him, how could I go with ace queen there? Like he's taunting him, like he's stupid for thinking that. This is coming from the same guy who cold calls 85 pre with king jack of clubs and then just jams almost 3x the pot on king 5-5. So that made sense, but 3-bet shoving 250 from the straddle with ace queen off when there's an open in front of him. No, what sense could that ever make? Next hand to come up, there's a raise to 15. There's 2 calls. I 3-bet king queen off to 85, and then the next guy jams 128 total. And then the original raiser asks the dealer if I can raise. So here we are again with this same situation. And the dealer fucks up answering him. And this is a dealer who I like her personality. She's been dealing for years. Fucks up this situation. She says to him, no one can raise, which is wrong. I, once again, cannot re-raise if everyone calls and the action comes back to me. So the dealer tells the player that no one can raise. She's given him misinformation. So he calls. But then the player starts saying, no, that's not true. He can raise. So then I'm thinking, well, he already called. It's too late. He can't take it back. So they bring the floor man over, and he says, yeah, of course he can raise, meaning the guy who just called. And they allowed him to take all his options back. Now he has the option to raise or call or fold, which at first I thought was fucked up, but yeah, I guess it makes sense. He was given the misinformation. He was just acting in accordance to the information he was given. So I didn't really have a problem with this. And of course, after all this debate, you know what he did? He just called anyway. So we just wasted more time going over something that was clear and obvious, already came up once before, and the guy makes a decision after being given misinformation. Now he gets all his options back and just ends up making the same decision anyway. So everybody just calls pre, and I think I flopped a king again or a queen this time, and the pot is like 300-400 by now, and the guy check folded to a $35 bet. Okay, so then this next hand comes. I got king 10 off in the big blinds, and the cutoff raises to 10. The cutoff is the fish I just told you about, who didn't know what his options were. He makes a 10 in the cutoff. His buddy, a fish in the small blind, calls, and I squeeze kind of light out of the big blind to 55 with king 10 off. Only the razor calls. I think the flop was something like ace 9 5 all hearts, and I have the 10 of hearts. I don't really know what to do here. I mean, I bet 35 he calls. The turn was nothing, and I just check folded. Then the next hand, I got ace king suited again. Now, I had cold 4-bet this hand previously, and the guy who had opened in the hand, which I had cold 4-bet ace king suited, opens again under the gun, and there's a call in late position, and I 3-bet to 115, and then he 4-bets, basically sort of min-clickish, makes it 225. And he's deep. He's 1,000-ish deep. No, actually, he was more than that because he won a little bit. So we're probably about 300 big blinds deep, and I just never see bluffs in these spots. I mean, it's just they're so fucking rare that I hate having to fold this hand. I kind of wanted to just call, but I hate calling and then just relying on the deck to give me a hand, and now I have to just hold on. I mean, it's a pretty nitty fold, but I just never fucking see anyone 4-betting light. And I was worried maybe this guy was young, so he looked the part of maybe someone who could 4-bet bluff, so I should have considered that. But I folded, and I asked him, I was like, can you show a card? I was like, do you have a card that's not an ace? And he shows me the 5 of hearts. So we figure this is ace 5 of hearts. And look, there's nothing wrong with his 4-bet. I mean, we know that in theory it's fine to mix that hand in. I mean, I also got the sense, though, that maybe this kid was being a little presumptuous, that, like, I'm not going to be light here, like, that often, okay? Might have a few light 3-bets, but it's going to be mostly good hands. So it's like, I just felt like maybe he was just being a little too presumptuous. They're like, oh, this guy just always 3-bets light. So, I don't know. But then check this. A little while later, a guy joins the game, gets on this guy's left, the guy who just bluffed me with ace 5. The reg opens to 20, and this new face, this guy looks very Midwestern. He looks he's very deep, got a lot of tattoos. He calls the 20. They go heads up. The flop was, I don't know, something random. The reg checks. The new guy bets 35 into 40. The reg folds, and the guy shows king 3 offsuit. Just a total airball, and shows this bluff in this single race pot that had basically no money go into it. And then, the very next hand, the reg opens to 20 again. This guy who just had king 3 3-bets to 80. The reg 4-bets to 280. And now the new guy jams for like 1,500. And he gets called quickly, under 5 seconds. The board runs king high, and the new guy, who had just bluffed with king 3, shows aces. And the other kid just nods his head, stacks off, and leaves. So I felt like, I got a lot of satisfaction from that, because it's like, yeah, he bluffed me in a spot, and I'm not saying his bluff was bad exactly. It's just that, what a rookie-ass mistake. I mean, he 4-bets huge and just calls off 300 big blinds without even really thinking about it with, at best, queens or ace-king. At best. I mean, he didn't turn his hand over, and he didn't act like he just got completely fucking cooler, because the board ran out king high and aces were good, so we know we didn't have kings. So, it's just like, I had a hunch earlier that he was just assuming that I'm going to be light here way more than normal. And this guy gets bluffed off a nothing pot by king 3 offsuit, and just on the very next hand, just immediately 4-bets and stacks off. So then the guy who just wins with aces, he starts calling the table nits, everybody. He's been there for about 5 minutes. And I just decided I'm not going to say anything to this guy, but the guy on my left says to him, he's like, you just got here, bro. And it's like, holy shit, finally, someone besides me who will call something out. Then he says, I'm raising any 2 next hand. So it folds to him. He looks at his cards, raises a 15, gets a call, claims he has kings. The flop comes ace king 4, 2 clubs. He bets 15 and gets called. The turn is the 4 clubs. The board is paired. Oh, no, sorry. There were all clubs on the flop. Ace king 4, all clubs. Bets 15, call. Board pairs on the turn. He bets 30, and he gets called again. But as the guy calls him, he says, he's like, slow down. He's like, slow down. He's not even, which first of all, I don't know why he's saying slow down as if he's betting big. He's not. But then the guy says, he's like, I can't slow down. He's like, there's clubs out there. He's like, even though he's claiming he has pocket kings, which would be a full house at this point. I mean, it's just, can anybody say anything that makes even just a modest amount of sense? No, apparently not. the guy says back to him, he's like, kings is a full house. So they're arguing back and forth about why he won't slow down. He's not betting big, but he's being told to slow down. He's saying I won't slow down because there's all clubs on the flop, even though the board is paired and he's already claimed pocket kings, which would be a full house. I'm just sitting and watching in silence. I just can't say anything. And then the river in this hand was the 7 of clubs, so there's 4 clubs. And the guy who's been claiming pocket kings, he checks, the guy bets, he show folds pocket queens with no clubs. So he says he's raising any 2 next hand, looks at his cards, happen to be pocket queens. Then he gets ace king 4 all clubs. He has no clubs. He bets the flop and he bets the turn. And then he check folds the river. I had been card dead for a while. And then he says to me, he's like, are you going to play a hand while I'm here? And I was like, I don't know. He laughed pretty hard when he said that. Then he said he's had a lot of liquor. Then the next hand, I got ace deuce suited in the big blind. Someone raises. So he asked me if I'm going to play a hand. And of course, I get a playable hand right after that. And as I'm calling, I say, hey, watch this. Then I finally get a hand I can raise. I have ace king, and I make it 30 over 2 limps. He calls and from the big blind, and we go 4 ways. I flop an air ball, comes jack deuce 3. We all check. I check in position. I thought about betting, but turn is a 9 of hearts. Our drunk genius with aces or queens every hand. He bets 100. He gets called. River's another jack. He check calls 300, and the guy is bluffing. And he has pocket queens again. Then he says he's had queens 3 times and aces twice. So I say to him, hey, tough game. He laughed at that, so he was a little antagonizing at first, but now he was getting friendlier. Then a short while after that, he raises to 25, a guy 3 bets to 80, and he jams 1,500 again. And as the guy is thinking about what he wants to do, he says to Midwestern, let's just call him Kentucky. He says to Kentucky, he's like, give me $5 to show 1. And the guy says, okay, I'll take it. So he takes the $5, he shows 1, and of course he shows an ace or a king. Then the guy show folds queens, and he shows he had aces again. So in an hour, he's had aces 3 times and queens 3 times. But let's just think about this for a second, okay? Because I said to the guy who gave him $5, I said, that's the dumbest $5 you've ever spent. I'm like, what did you think? What did you think was going to happen? You guys are all in. He put you all in for $1,500, and he says, you give me $5, sure, I'll show you 1 card. We're before the flop here. What do you think he's going to show you? A jack? How, in what universe, would he ever show you anything? Anything in the world besides an ace or a king. He's not going to show you a card that's ever an ace or a king. You can bet your life on that. So what did you gain by giving him $5? And then the dealer says to me, well, it's only $5. It's like, it's only $5? The guy is not going to show you a card below a queen. I mean, what the below a king, sorry. He is not going to show you a queen or a card lower than that. Because then you have an easy, automatic call. I mean, it was just all night. All fucking night. So then I got aces as a limp. I make it 25. We go 4 ways. Flop comes 8, 7, 3, 2 hearts. I have a heart. I bet 65. 2 guys call. I'm in between both of them. Turn is the jack of clubs. So there's 2-tone board. 9, 10 is now the nuts. And I tell myself I'm just going to bet fold this hand. Because the first guy checks. He's not that deep. But the button is deep. So 8, 7, 3 jack. I bet 220 into 290. And the button folds. But then the shorter stack does jam. And I thought maybe I should just fold to him too. Because it just didn't seem like he was ever going to put it in. Unless he was like, really sure he has the best hand. And I'm not quite getting the right price against 2 pair even. So maybe I should just fold. I mean, but even so, when you have fish and they're not deep and they've been losing, you do see them just dump it in there sometimes with unexpected hands. So I called hoping that, maybe that's what I'm going to see here. I mean, what is it going to be? I don't know. He took really long to call the flop. So I did not think that 10-9 was going to be that likely of a hand for him to have here. So I didn't think I'd be drawing dead too often. But I was. He has 10-9. Offsuit, no hearts. I mean, he's got the nut low open-ender because he's got 10-9 off on 7-8-3, 2 hearts, and he doesn't have a heart. So, yeah, he's drawing to a straight, but only the 6 or jack cannot be a heart. And this was just such a sick situation because if he hit the straight with the 6, any 6, I'm not going to be betting this turn knowing that how many 2 pairs that completes. I mean, the jack is the only one that completes the straight, and yeah, they can still have some random 2 pairs, but we know that they're going to have more two pairs if the 6 comes. And if this jack was a heart, I would not have bet. So this was just a fucking 2-outer on the turn as far as creating this chain reaction. So fuck me. Then a couple guys limp again, and I raised to 45 out of the small blind with ace jack off. I get one call. Flop comes jack 6 deuce, 2 clubs. I have the ace of clubs. I bet 55, he calls. Turn is the ace. I got aces and jacks now. I bet 45, he calls that, because I figure he's just going to fold to too many turn sizes that are big, unless specifically he has a flush draw. But I'm just betting the size just to keep his really weak range in there, because we know he's going to have a lot, and maybe he'll bluff spaz raise if he has a smaller 2-pair. I mean, I don't hate the size I picked, but of course the river is the king of clubs. Backdoor flush comes in, or no, front door flush comes in, backdoor straight also comes in. I thought about betting. I guess the pot had like 290, I think. I check, and he only bet 75. He bet basically a quarter of the pot. And I should have just called, because I had seen this guy bet small before with really big hands. But of course I go for the really thin value raise. I make it 175, knowing I'm not going to get re-raised. And if I do, I can just fold. He calls, and he has a flush with 8-5 of clubs. So just fucking myself in the ass there. I mean, in other situations versus other players, if they have blatant sizing tells, raising here is probably worth it. But this guy had sizing tells, but he actually was betting really small with nutted hands. So these were the two biggest hands that went awry as my great session, which I'd started up about 1,700 after the two guys I stacked, or where I doubled up with king queen and stacked the other guy with king jack, where the dealer refused to muck their hands. And now I'm just bleeding and bleeding and bleeding and bleeding. And it's just one thing went wrong after another. It was just like death by 1,000 cuts. I felt like I wasn't playing well either. I mean, there were spots that I could have been more aggressive in, chose not to be. In a vacuum, it's not like terrible to take a more passive line, but I shouldn't have. And one example of that was when I raised with ace-king suited, and to like 35 probably, we go heads up, and the flop comes queen 9-8 with one heart, and this fish check calls 55, so we got 180 out there. And I know he has a hand that is going to have to just fold to 3 barrels. He's going to have a lot of pair plus hands that don't improve on the river, and then he's just going to fold if I keep applying pressure, because I've been very tight for a while. The turn is the queen of hearts, so now there's 2 hearts, so I have the flush draw, but the board is paired the top card, and he checked, and it's like, I know this fucking asshole doesn't have a queen, and why don't I just bet here? I can even just bet small and then tank the river. He's not going to just check call a queen. He'll check raise a queen if I bet small. So I think betting small would be the best move here, because I can still call a check raise and still try and hit the flush. And if he just calls, then I know I can just blast the river. Checking back here is terrible. And then the river pairs another 8. So this queen's in 8s. He checks. And I felt like he would probably lead a queen or an 8, and hard to imagine I have any real showdown value here. I check, and he has a 9. 10-9 off. So this is just one of these pots I let get away, and this was just one of the most aggravating nights I've ever had, because I was up 1,700, played for about 6 hours, left around 3:30 in the morning, and I lost basically back everything. I won over $100. So, God, I mean, look, we know it happens. You know, we know that getting upstuck is going to happen. You can't avoid these things forever. But it was just a painful, aggravating session. I mean, listen to this other hand. I mean, we did a round of straddles. The small blind raises to 30. I defend with 8-4 of clubs, and I flop an airball. It was like queen 6-3, 2 spades. He checks, and I check. Or no, queen 9-3, 2 spades. He checks, I check. Turn is a 6. He checks, I check. River's a 3. He checks, I check, and just lose to ace-jack. And look, maybe I don't need to just triple it off on this board, but it's like, when he checks the flop, he's already capped. I can just bet with an airball. I mean, sometimes I get caught up in the fact that my hand has no equity, but it's like, you're playing the other opponent. I know this is a tiny pot. That's not the point. This is not the fucking way I play. I can bet the flop, probably get called, maybe get a fold, probably not, but I can bet the flop, bet the turn, and just win this fucking hand. I mean, I just started taking all these passive lines. I mean, it was just so fucking aggravating and upsetting and tilting, and it just God. So, I mean, I went through this whole session. I mean, none of these mistakes were like really hugely blunderous, except maybe bet calling off with aces, but you got to take your chances against fish. Because you're going to get value from so many hands and spots where, there are some scary turn cards coming off, but that doesn't mean it gave them the fucking nuts or even a better hand even. So you got to just live and die with it sometimes. But yeah, I mean, I just felt like I ran really bad after getting hot for like an hour or so. And then it was just so demoralized when I left because the Bellagio, this is such a nostalgic room because I have so many great memories from playing higher there. But like God, it's just been so much of a headache playing 2-5 or 5-10. I mean, I got on a little roll at the end of last year when I played some 2-5 sessions. I mean, I didn't have any like of these massive wins, but I did win a bunch of sessions in a row where I won anywhere from something medium to above medium. And here I am up 1,700 on the second session ever where the Bellagio just became a 1K cap. And I think maybe I can turn this room into something really good for me. And right behind it is this fucking avalanche. And my play did not help the situation one bit. There's a hand where I raised to 50 over a limp with pocket fives. The button called, and these same fish I've been getting into with, he 3-bets to 150. And this fish has been on a roll. He was stacked off a couple times, keeps coming back. Now he hasn't lost a hand in hours. He keeps talking about manifesting his cards. He keeps showing aces and keeps saying he keeps manifesting his hands. I mean, well, look, if he's that good at manifesting his hands, why is he playing 2-5? Why isn't he a fucking billionaire? So maybe it was just a coincidence, but I got pocket fives. I mean, raised to 50, call, he 3-bets to 150. I mean, I just called thinking that, the guy just has no fucking clue how to size, and I don't want to just stick it in against kings, especially since this guy has shown that he's going to bet small with really big hands, so maybe this isn't really an error, but in the moment, I just felt like he had some stupid hand, and I could just 4-bet rip. That's right, 4-bet rip, $1,500, put it in his face, end the hand, because he's just going to have something stupid. But I call, and the flop comes ace high, we go three-way. My call was fucking 150. Yeah, I'll try and hit a set. I mean, I go three-way. The button has position, obviously, and it comes ace 9-3. He bets, we fold, and he shows an ace. So I would have been right to 4-bet, knowing that this would be the best hand, because he wouldn't show just an ace if he had a set of aces. All right? We're not even going to talk about this. Then the hand right after that, there's another limp. I raise to 50 with sevens. There's a call. And now this new face, reg, 3-bets to 250. We all fold, and he shows ace-9 of spades. Now, he was also about 1,500 deep, and I'm not saying, like, this is a big mistake either. I only have sevens. It's not worth it to set mine. I mean, it's just one thing after another, just death by 1,000 cuts. I couldn't push the right button no matter what I did after these two big pots I won. When you're up big in a game, you feel like this money is yours. You feel like you can't lose it back. Well, look, you can always lose it back. When you're stuck and then you get unstuck, yeah, that's a great feeling because you feel like when you're losing, you feel like you can win it back. But when you're winning, you feel like you can't lose it back. So really tilting, really frustrating session, really just demoralizing. And look, I'll be back at this room from time to time, but the win will still be my main room. April's been kind of a slow month here. Not a lot going on. Games have been breaking early. Haven't been getting a lot of games together, but it'll change sooner or later. We got the series coming back. Well, I guess it's only about 5 weeks away from now. I mean, it takes more than 5 weeks for things to get really busy, and then it's just wall to wall, and then you have to show up either early or later. You're going to be waiting all fucking day. So, yeah, that's all the news that's fit to print for this week. So I guess I'll get out there again this weekend, and we'll talk to you guys soon. See you next time, guys. Thanks for listening.